Hey, welcome everybody to the Emotional Eating Dakota group. So good to see you. Glad you're here. We have not gone live in this group in a really long time, and we feel like we've had so many new members over the last few months, even years, that we just felt like we needed to just hop in here and say hello and give you some wisdom of what is happening with emotional eating, why you do it, how to stop it, how to overcome it, and really just have a better relationship with food and yourself. So happy that you're here. So I am Hannah Hips, and Sierra Spencer, she is not going to be on today, but she'll be on the next time that we go live. But we are donut loving, eating, veggie eating psychology coaches, mind body nutrition. Sierra does diet recovery as well as weight neutral coaching. I do yoga and meditation. So you get a wide variety of like what food, how you're eating really relates to life. So this is a holistic approach to food, and we want to help you look beyond just the food and the symptoms of what you have, the unwanted eating habits. And we're going to take you through a journey of why you have these unwanted eating habits, why you emotionally eat, why you turn to food, because there's a really good reason. There's always a good reason. And the way that we combat our eating and our unwanted eating is not always the helpful thing, not always the thing that's actually going to help you overcome your emotional eating. So today we're talking about the major culprit that's going to lead you to emotional eating. Are you doing this? So I want to dive in. I don't want to take a lot of your time because our time is precious. So what is this culprit that we do unknowingly, probably because we think this is what we hear all the time in the dieting culture of restricting and dieting, right? Those are the two major things. I'm going to put dieting and restricting in one lump together, because when you diet, you restrict. If you're restricting, you're dieting. So that's that. So this is the major culprit that is going to lead to emotional eating. It's going to make you lead into feeling out of control with food, feeling like you're obsessed with food, thinking about food all the time, wondering why you can't lose the weight, why you keep gaining weight, why you can't get control over your food, why willpower is not working anymore. So the culprit is restricting. It is a psychological, biological thing. When we restrict something, we most likely are going to want it. Okay? So think about this. You're a teenage rebel, your child, you tell them, don't touch that hot stove. And what do? They touch the hot stove. This has been happening with me and my 7-year-old a lot. I'm like, please don't do that. And of course he does it. And I was like, why'd you do that? Well, I needed to do it. You know, like when you tell yourself no, then you are most likely going to do it. So if you tell yourself, don't eat those cookies, guess what? You're going to want to eat those cookies. So let's talk about how we can kind of work through this and what's really happening when we restrict. There's a couple really good things to understand with restriction. And I'm going to say restricting and dieting teaches the body to retain more fat when you eat. This is a form of biological compensation to help the body to store energy and fat. So when we are restricting, our body automatically is like, oh my gosh, there's a lack of food. And it doesn't care if you're doing this on purpose or if there's actually a famine, but it's like, oh my gosh, there's not enough food. So when I do get food, I'm going to have to store this energy because I'm not sure when I'm going to get food again. Do you understand? Like our body goes into survival when we restrict, when we don't feed it and nourish it enough. It's going to automatically go into this survival response, and it's going to hold on to everything that it possibly can. So this is why oftentimes we can't lose weight, even when we're restricting, and we blame it on our emotional eating because we're restricting, and so food is more appealing, right? We have more cravings. We binge more. We can't control ourselves. Think about this. Restricting is stressful. Life in itself is already stressful, right? Dealing with life is stressful. So you're stressed about eating the right thing, about making sure that you eat less and exercise more, and yet you have pile on work, family, you work, pile on kids, pile on everything else that we have in our life, and you have a bad day, and what do? You reach for the food because it brings the comfort, and that's what you've been restricting. So whatever you restrict is what you're going to go to when you're in stressful situations. You're not going to be able to control that. And so you feel like life is out of control already. So you reach for the food because that's what you're not allowing yourself to eat. So when you are restricting also, like, everything becomes really appealing. You can do pretty good for a little bit of time of restricting because you're like, okay, I got this. But then if that stress or that emotion comes in, you don't have that willpower, because it takes willpower to deal with life, right? To keep yourself composed at work, make sure that you don't lash out at your boss or with your kids or with your husband or whoever. It takes a lot of willpower to keep ourselves in check. And if we are restricting on top of that, that means that that's even more willpower that is needed. So if there's any inst of emotion, stress in your life, you are not going to have any willpower to actually be able to handle life stresses. So what we do is then we reach for something, and it's not always food. In this group, it is food. We all reach for food because it gives us that immediate, even if it's like a 1 second immediate, the grabbing of the donut, the putting the donut in your mouth and tasting that sweetness, it is giving you some kind of release. It's giving you some kind of comfort, even if it's for a moment. What if we were able to, if we're nourishing our bodies enough, if we're feeding our bodies enough where it's not in survival, because when we're in survival, it slows down our metabolism, it slows down our ability to calorie burn and everything else. So think about this. If you're nourishing your body enough, if you're eating enough food, your body's not in the survival. It's not thinking, I'm on a desert island and I don't know where the food is. It feels safe. Think of how much easier it would be to handle life stresses and those emotions that come your way. Because you're piling on these heavy emotions, or just emotions in general. We are not built to just know how to deal with our emotions, right? We are human. We have tons of emotions throughout the day, and it can be very chaotic. And it can be very stressful to have all of these different emotions. We don't know what to do with them. We're like, I don't know what's happening. So we try to ground ourselves with food, because think about it, food coming into the body, it kind of settles us. It feels heavy. We're like, okay, it's not all crazy in here anymore. I have something in me, right? It makes perfect sense, right? So think about when you're feeding your body enough and you have enough food in your system and you're not in the survival state, you feel these emotions come in, you're actually able to work and navigate them a little bit better than having to navigate your emotions and navigate your body being in a biological survival response, thinking that it's being threatened by whatever and everything, so it needs food. Is this making sense to you? Let me know in the comments if this is ringing true for you and it's really helpful, because I want you guys to understand, when we restrict our food, we are most likely going to use food to solve all of our problems. So how many of you are restricting in some way? How many of you are saying, I shouldn't eat this, I need to limit this, I need to watch this kind of food? And at the same time, you feel like you can only think about food. You obsess about food. You worry about what you're going to eat, what you're not going to eat. This is like the all-consuming thing, right? And when anything else comes your way, food is the solution, because the food is the problem at the same time, right? So, and I say food is the solution, meaning that you go to food when you're unsure about things, when you're stressed, when you are feeling a certain way. So, I really wanted to pinpoint this. We're going to kind of go into a series of this, what could lead to emotional eating. We really want you to understand what is happening, because it's a biological response, and is also known for people that restrict or diet are more likely to emotionally eat. Okay, you're more likely to have deeper cravings. You're more likely to think about food all the time. So we're blaming the food when really we could just learn how to be in a better relationship with food. So then we can be in a better relationship with our emotions. We can be in a better relationship with ourselves, and we can actually handle life stresses. That is the gap right there, is learning how to handle life stresses, learning how to manage and navigate our emotions. That is what needs to happen, rather than restricting our food to cope with emotional eating. Okay, so just wanted to put that out there. Also, big announcement, if this is something that you want to work towards, that's something that you feel like, I want help with this, how do I do this? How do I navigate my emotions? How do I actually have a better relationship with food? How do I stop restricting? I'm not restricting, but I am. How do I manage this? We are opening the doors to our Inner Circle, which is our 6-month program, happening probably in the next 30 days. We're going to be opening that up for you to jump in and work through this. We have a whole process of step by step. We've gotten better and refined it, of how to have a better relationship with food, be able to end your emotional eating, to feel secure in yourself, to build your confidence, your self-esteem up again, so that you don't obsess about food anymore. So if you are interested in hearing about this program, we would love for you to join us, or just comment program below and we just have a conversation about it, because it's not fit for everybody. We do select our clients very methodically. We want to make sure that you are a right fit. And so if you are serious about healing your relationship with food, ending emotional eating, really getting a handle on this, then just comment program below and we will have a conversation. We'll probably send you a message and then we'll hop on a call and see if it's the right fit for you. It's a great program. We'll just keep on talking about it because we want you in there if this is something that you are serious about. Let me know if this was helpful for you in the comments, if this was just maybe good reminders, or if you took something from this. I want to know what you learned from this live and how we can navigate this emotional eating, because it does kind of rule our life, right? What if it didn't rule your life anymore? You would be able to live. You'd be able to do all that you want to do, right? So thanks again for joining. If you're watching the replay, if you're watching live, thank you so much. I appreciate you all. We will be back in 2 weeks and we'll be discussing something else. So have a wonderful day and we will talk to you soon.